I supported my best friend through her unexpected pregnancy, until I realized the father was my husband, and I'd been paying for their loved child. My name is Emily, and a few weeks ago I rushed back from a business trip with my husband David to visit my best friend Rachel, who had just given birth. Rachel and I have been friends for years. Last year she unexpectedly got pregnant. I asked her many times who the father was, but she never said. Only cried and insisted she'd raise the baby alone, because the father didn't want to be involved. I felt terrible for her. Becoming a single mom isn't easy, so I did everything I could to support her. I gave her money, prenatal vitamins, baby supplies, anything to ease her burden. When she went into labor, I was still out of town for work. But the moment I got the call, I took the first flight home. When I arrived at the hospital, Rachel's mom was surprised to see me. "Emily, weren't you away for business? Why are you back so soon?" I smiled and replied, "How could I not come? Rachel just had a baby. I'm even planning to be the godmother." She laughed happily and went off to get lunch. I stepped into the hospital room and saw Rachel lying there, looking pale but glowing with happiness. Beside her was a newborn in a bassinet, all wrinkled and tiny but absolutely adorable. I leaned over and smiled. "You really did it, huh? You're amazing, Rachel." But when I looked up, something strange caught my eye. Rachel was staring at David. Not just looking, staring, with a deep, unreadable gaze. And David, he wasn't looking at me, he was looking at the baby, with tears in his eyes. Something in my gut twisted. I whispered, "David, are you okay?" David seemed startled by my question, as if he'd realized his emotions had gotten the better of him. Within seconds, he forced a gentle smile. "Nothing, babe. I'm just emotional. Seeing a newborn like this, I kind of want one of our own, you know?" He walked over and gazed at the baby again, eyes soft, almost fatherly. I felt a wave of guilt. Maybe he really did want a child, and I had been the one postponing it for work. I reached out, playfully touched the baby's tiny hand, and laughed. "Still a little wrinkly, but I can tell. He's going to be a handsome little guy." Rachel blushed and looked down, then mumbled, "Yeah, he takes after his dad. He's really good looking." She said it quietly, but while looking straight at David, and David looked back at her. Their eyes met for a moment too long. It was like time froze around them. The air between them suddenly felt heavy, filled with something I couldn't quite name. I looked down at the baby again, and for the first time, I noticed it. That baby looked a lot like my husband. The shape of his nose, the curve of his lips, even the way he furrowed his tiny brow. I felt a chill run down my spine. I didn't say anything. I just smiled and said I'd go check on Rachel's mom to see if she needed help with lunch. "David, stay here with Rachel for a minute, okay?" I walked out, but I didn't go far. I circled around the hallway and pressed my ear gently against the hospital room door. That's when I heard it. Rachel's voice, sweet and syrupy, saying, "Honey, you finally came." David's voice followed, tender and warm. "You did amazing, sweetheart. You gave me a perfect baby boy." I didn't confront them. Not yet. I simply walked away from the hospital with a calm smile on my face, but inside, I was crumbling. I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know how deep it went. The moment I got back to my office, I called Monica, my assistant, my closest confidant. I had hired her years ago, not just because she was brilliant, but because she had once been through the same hell. A cheating boyfriend, a secret child, betrayal so deep it nearly broke her. But Monica, she didn't break. She burned him to the ground. When I told her everything, her eyes turned icy. "Good thing you didn't blow up at the hospital. Guys like David, they don't deserve mercy, they deserve exposure." From that moment on, we began collecting everything. Bank statements, transaction histories, camera footage from inside our home. Monica even hired a private investigator. Meanwhile, I pretended like nothing had happened. I went home, greeted David, smiled like always. That night, he came back late, as expected. "You left the hospital so suddenly," he said, putting on a concerned face. "I waited all day for you." "I was just tired," I replied softly. "Long flight, long day." "You should rest, babe. Want me to get your slippers?" "No need," I said, handing him a warm cup of milk. It was a habit. David always had trouble sleeping, so I made him milk every night. Tonight, it was mixed with a mild sleep aid. Once he was asleep, I carefully reached under his pillow and pulled out his phone. Password, my birthday. Denied. Strange. Then I tried something else. Rachel's birthday. It opened. My hands shook. I wasn't sure if it was rage or heartbreak. I opened his message app. Clean. Too clean. Nothing suspicious at all, which meant everything had been deleted. That alone was proof. People with nothing to hide don't scrub their phones. Then I opened his bank transactions. I nearly dropped the phone. He had been transferring money to Rachel, a lot of it. Sometimes the amounts were coded, 5200, 1314, amounts that meant I love you, in number speak. I went all the way back. The first transfer, 2 years ago, and every single cent came from me. I didn't stop with the bank app. I opened his Venmo, then PayPal, then even business-related platforms. And there it was, another account. Not under Rachel's name this time, but registered to a small business. A consulting firm I'd never heard of. Yet David had been transferring money to it regularly, sometimes 5,000, sometimes 50,000. The transactions were frequent, monthly, and growing. And the kicker? That business account was connected to Rachel through a distant cousin. Legally untraceable at first glance, but Monica caught the link. My husband had secretly funded Rachel's life under a fake company name. He built her security using my money from my own company. Meanwhile, he had been quietly poaching my clients, redirecting small accounts to his so-called consulting firm. Most of those clients didn't even know they weren't working with me anymore. They thought it was just an extension of my brand. And that was when the real betrayal hit me. He was building a future with her, on everything I created. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I saved every screenshot. Then something stupidly poetic happened. The next morning, I woke up, ignored David's carefully prepared I love you breakfast sitting on the kitchen table, and checked my phone. For some reason, I clicked into Rachel's social media profile. Her latest post? A picture of oatmeal, captioned Morning Love in a bowl. The same exact bowl, same spoon, same placemat, as the one David had made for me just yesterday. She didn't even block me. She had been posting hints all along, photos of gifts, romantic captions, late-night snacks, on the very days David worked late or went on business trips. And I'd been blind enough to think she was just finally in love. I laughed, out loud, then swept the untouched oatmeal straight into the trash. It was time to let them feel safe. Let them believe they'd won. I told David I had to leave for a week-long business trip in Chicago. The moment I said it, I saw the excitement flash in his eyes. He tried to hide it, but I knew. Oh babe, work's been crazy lately. I probably won't be able to come with you this time, he said, pretending to be conflicted. I nodded, smiled. It's okay, you stay. Maybe visit Rachel and the baby, help out a little while I'm gone? He stiffened, just slightly. Yeah, sure, I'll see if she needs anything. That same day, Monica finalized the setup. She reached out to Nolan, the CEO of a rival company who had always respected me, and asked for his help. Nolan was more than willing. Together, they drafted a fake contract, one that looked like a golden opportunity for David's little firm, but was laced with strict delivery clauses and devastating penalties for breach. We knew David would take the bait. It looked too good to be true, and it was. Within 24 hours, David signed it. We even made sure the initial payment terms were minimal, while the penalty for non-delivery, astronomical. While all this was happening, Rachel tried to call me, a video call. Monica warned me ahead of time. She's checking if you're really away. So I picked up with the most cheerful face I could manage. Rachel, what's up? She was lying on her bed, looking tired but smug. Emily, you haven't come to see the baby lately. You're the godmother, remember? She said, half pouting. The same fake sweetness she always used. I've been slammed with work, I replied. Trying to make enough money to help you raise your son, remember? I'm actually in Chicago right now. She blinked. Oh, yeah, right. Working hard. You're amazing. I know, I said, smiling. Don't worry. Once I'm back, I have a special gift for you and the baby. She perked up, all excited and clueless. I ended the call politely, but not before catching a glimpse of a man's shoulder in her frame. It was David's. She panicked and tilted the camera. I asked sweetly, "Who's that next to you? The baby's father?" She stammered. "Oh no, it's just family, a cousin. Anyway, you're busy, right? I'll let you go." And with that, she hung up, desperate to hide. But it was too late. I had everything I needed. The day had come. I arrived back from my business trip earlier than anyone expected, and I didn't go home. Instead, I met Monica near Rachel's apartment complex. Waiting outside were 5 people I had hired, each holding up a massive red banner. Bold white letters stretched across it. This homewrecker Rachel Taylor seduced my husband and had his child. Today, as his legal wife, I officially return her the garbage she deserves. Below that, in parentheses, Unit 502, Building 11. We didn't hang it quietly. We unfurled it in broad daylight, during peak lunch hour. People stopped, whispered, pointed. Wait, that's Rachel Taylor? I've seen her around with a baby. She was pregnant before marriage, so it was an affair? I knew something was off about her. Always acting sweet, but look at that. My team didn't stop at holding the banner. They handed out leaflets to anyone who looked curious. Yep, this is her. Slept with her best friend's husband for 2 years, even had a baby with him. Phones came out, photos, videos, live streams. Comments began flooding social media. It wasn't long before David came running out of the building, his face beet red, veins popping. He stormed toward the banner, shouting, "Take that down! This is slander!" But the guys I hired? All ex-security, well-built and calm. He couldn't even touch the edge of the banner. Furious, David ran to the building's security. But the guards just crossed their arms. They're on public property, not our problem. A few people in the crowd recognized him. Isn't that the guy who's always at Rachel's place? Yeah, I've seen him go in and out every night. His wife is gorgeous. What the hell is wrong with him? Disgusting pig. David was surrounded, bombarded by shame and insults, and then, as if on cue, I called him. He picked up instantly. Baby, Emily, you're back? I saw the banner, but I swear it wasn't me. I can explain. I cut him off. My voice was ice. David, do you really think I'd go this far without proof? Silence. Don't bother explaining. Just prepare to sign the divorce papers. And with that, I hung up. When David came home that evening, he found all his belongings boxed up and stacked neatly in the hallway. His suits, his sneakers, his luxury gadgets, every single item packed with cold precision. I didn't even look up from the sofa. I was sipping tea when I told the housekeeper, "Call the moving van. These go to Rachel's place." David froze. "Emily, what the hell is this? Are you serious right now?" I finally looked at him, calm and cold. "I'm sending you where you belong. This house? It's mine. I paid for it. And your fingerprint access has been revoked. Don't even try the door tomorrow." He looked around, dazed like he still couldn't process it. "You can't just throw me out." "I'm not throwing you out," I smiled. "I'm evicting you, with cause." Then I calmly called building management. "Hi, I need security to escort someone out. He's no longer authorized to be here." David's pride wouldn't let him be dragged out. After a long pause and some furious mumbling, he grabbed a box and stormed off. I could finally breathe. That night, Monica called me. "Everything's ready," she said. "The divorce paperwork, the embezzlement case against David and Lucas Ward, and your personal lawsuit against Rachel for misappropriation of marital assets." I smiled. "What about Lucas?" Monica chuckled. "Oh, he cracked. The moment the company accountant walked in with the audit files, he started sweating. When the police showed up, he folded instantly, gave up everything, said David was the mastermind and he just followed orders." "Perfect," I said. "Press all charges. I want them ruined, legally." Monica replied, "Already happening. By the way, Mr. Nolan just called. He's filing breach of contract charges against David's side company. Apparently they missed the first major delivery deadline." "Let him burn," I said. "I'm done playing nice." I was leaving the office when I saw her, Mrs. Taylor, Rachel's mother. She stood just outside the entrance, dressed modestly, clearly waiting for me. The moment she saw me, she rushed forward. "Emily, please, please wait." Her voice trembled with guilt. "I know what Rachel did was wrong. I've scolded her, I really have. I don't know what she was thinking. But she's suffering now. She has postpartum depression. She's got nowhere to go. Can't you just let it go?" And then, without warning, she dropped to her knees right there on the pavement. "I'm begging you. She's just a girl. She made a mistake. You're rich. You're powerful. Why make her life harder?" People started gathering. Passers-by looked at the scene, an older woman kneeling in front of a younger, well-dressed woman, and you could tell their first assumptions weren't flattering to me. I could hear the whispers. "Is that her mom? Why's she crying like that? That woman looks cold. Must be some rich CEO type." And that's when I did something I never thought I'd do. I forced tears into my eyes. I bit my lip, and I said, Just loud enough for everyone to hear. You're asking me to forgive the woman who slept with my husband, who had a baby with him while pretending to be my best friend, who took my money, my trust, and tore apart my family. Gasps. Realization spread through the crowd like wildfire. That's the homewrecker's mom? Someone murmured. Wait, this is the Emily? Oh my God, I saw that banner post online. I took a step back, voice cracking just slightly. I didn't scream, I didn't attack her. I filed for divorce, I walked away, and now I'm being shamed for not forgiving her? Mrs. Taylor's expression twisted. You're lying. You're making my daughter look like a monster. That's when Monica showed up. Sharp heels, sharper voice. She stepped in front of me, arms crossed. Mrs. Taylor, if you harass our CEO again, we'll file for a restraining order. Your daughter didn't just cheat, she helped commit financial fraud. You should be thankful all you're getting is bad press. The crowd turned. Judgment was swift. She's still defending her daughter? No wonder Rachel turned out that way. Mrs. Taylor paled. Realizing the tide had turned, she stood up quickly and hurried away, humiliated. I didn't even flinch. As she disappeared, I turned to Monica and said, Add this incident to our lawyer's notes. I want a full record. Monica nodded. Already done. Within 2 weeks, everything began to crumble for David. His company, built on stolen resources and empty promises, failed to deliver its first contracted shipment to Nolan's firm. Just as we planned. Mr. Nolan's legal team filed a breach of contract lawsuit so airtight, David didn't even have a chance to blink before the court summons landed on his desk. And the penalty clause? Worth more than what David's entire company could produce in 3 years. At the same time, our lawyers filed a motion to seize assets Rachel had received from David, everything from her luxury bags to the apartment he bought for her with my money. The court ruled in our favor. She had 72 hours to vacate the property. David tried calling me multiple times, left messages. Emily, please, just talk to me. I lost everything. I know I was wrong. Let's fix this. I still love you. Love? From a man who used me like a bank and built a second life behind my back? I didn't respond. I blocked his number. Permanently. Then the emails came. Then the letters. Begging, pleading, promising to change. I didn't care. On the day I received my official divorce certificate, I didn't cry. I didn't feel sad. I felt free. Rachel, meanwhile, was forced to pack up what was left of her things and leave the apartment she once proudly flaunted online. And as poetic justice would have it, someone captured her leaving the building, disheveled, carrying boxes, with her baby strapped to her chest, and posted it online. The comment section didn't hold back. She ruined a marriage for this? From mistress to homeless, karma's a beast. Thanks to that infamous banner I'd arranged a few weeks ago, I became somewhat of an icon online. People loved the story, loved the revenge, and most of all, they loved that I never once screamed or broke down publicly. I stayed composed, strategic, and absolutely lethal. Investors admired my poise. Clients respected my resilience. My company's stock ticked upward. Apparently, betrayal was good for business as long as you play it right.